Welcome back to the Creating Character Podcast. My name is James Willems. I am a podcaster. I've done all kinds of podcasts for years and years and years, but only recently have I picked up the hobby. I don't even know if it's a hobby at this point. It's taken too much out of me, but I've picked up professional wrestling, and it's kind of a crossroads of my life where I'm deciding what I want to do next, where I've come from, and how that makes me who I am today. And I talk about these things every single week with my co-host and friend, Scorpio Sky.
That's right. I am Scorpio Sky, and I am a sexy boy.
Whoa!
Let's talk about it.
The draft?
Let's talk about our draft. I want to get right into it.
Okay, jump right into it.
Speaking of getting right into it,
Who lost the draft?
Let's start with who lost.
Let's start with
Who was the clear and far loser, last place? Our producer, Eric Bedore.
Okay, I will this time maybe admit
Take the L.
that I didn't potentially have the strongest draft that we'd ever done.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If this is your first episode with us, welcome.
That's right.
But also, we want to set up that last week we did a draft with our friend Martin for the best entrance theme, where we could only pick our top 4 entrance themes. And if someone else picks one of our favorites, we have to pick a different one. So we drafted our favorite entrance themes. And the quickest recap is all of them were really good. Eric's only were Jeff Jarrett songs. And
Three of us took it serious.
I want to say this. I think he's got great songs. We all agreed. We openly discussed how great some of those entrance themes were, but I don't think any of us would have thought number 1 on our list and number 2 all of our list. So that was kind of the issue.
You know what? My biggest issue with it is that that wasn't necessarily that all of the songs were Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
It's that your first pick wasn't With My Baby Tonight. Like,
No,
how
it
is
was
that
his-
not number 1? Because that one is a legitimate, like, if any one of us had picked that song, I don't think anyone would have complained.
No questions.
I wasn't worried about it getting taken first. I was worried about somebody taking My World, his very classic TNA theme that starts with sounds that's not music instruments. You don't know what it is, but it's important to know.
Yeah.
Here comes Jeff Jarrett, goes, "Bree you," and you go, "Oh, here comes Double J, baby."
Just
Hell
for
yeah.
the sake of it, because you were shooting the moon. He was shooting the moon, right? He was like, I'm going to try and get all the questions wrong at the hope that maybe someone will interpret it as right. So I just want to know, can you just real quick throw out a couple non-Jeff Jarrett themes that you would have had on your list if Jeff Jarrett was not available to you?
Yeah, so I did make a whole list just to kind of pull back that curtain. I have my draft board, and it is Stone Cold Steve Austin,
who wasn't
Mark Henry.
right? Wasn't on
somebody's gonna get it.
Yeah, okay.
That was on there.
That
was on there. But then I also I have like a long list of other ones. But my next 2 are going to be NWO and then NWO Wolfpack.
Okay,
So
yeah.
with the exception of Mark Henry, you would have had all 3 of your 4 picks.
Yeah.
But then my next one would have been Kurt Angle. And I think Kurt Angle was on the list.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think Kurt Angle made anybody's lists, but it's a.
Oh, I think Kurt Angle might. Oh, you're right.
was
It
an
was an
honorable
honorable
mention.
mention.
Yeah,
Kurt Angle
was.
was on my draft board because I love that song.
Same.
Yep.
But if you had gone with those 4, honestly, you may have won.
You may have won.
Well,
That's a good list.
Well, here's what happened. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 songs. And then I landed on Jeff Jarrett, My World. And then I went, oh my God, I can do a whole Jeff Jarrett list. And so I named 12 songs before getting to Jeff Jarrett and then changing my entire board.
Wow.
So
Can doesn't mean should, Eric. Can doesn't mean should.
Yeah, but it's the freedom. It's the freedom to pick anything we want.
Yeah, well, speaking of freedom, we gave the audience the freedom to pick their favorite from the list. And Sky, you came out what appears to be the clear winner there.
I think I finally got one. We've had a couple of drafts before, obviously, and I don't think I won any of those. But I think it was always you and Eric, for the record. But this one, I think I was the clear favorite, and I knew I was going to. I was very confident coming out of that last pick, the CM Punk pick, that I was going to win, and I was happy that I did. What I wish I did, I didn't think about it until right now, is I always read through the comment section. I love to hear what you guys are saying. I love to hear your picks, your feedback on the show. What I should have done was gone through and seen everyone else's lists and picked my favorite one and read it out loud. And that's what I will do going forward. Again, I just thought of it right now. So when we do our drafts going forward, and you guys, I love when you get in the comment section and you give your picks for whatever draft we're doing. I will go through, and we should all do this maybe. Go through, find who had the list that we liked the best, and shout them out on the show. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. It's just, it's interesting because you get into a very personal aspect. I know we're trying to win, but certain swings, I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night if I didn't mention Shinsuke Nakamura. And I don't expect him to be on other people's lists, but to me, it hits.
We could have done an all AEW one too if we wanted to, because there's been some really good songs in AEW.
Yeah, Mikey Ruckus makes some really fucking cool ass bangers, dude. They're really good
Business,
ones.
Hurt Syndicate, my bad.
Hurt Syndicate, yeah.
They have a good song. We hurt people.
Yeah.
And actually, someone in the comment section shouted out one of my old tracks as well, which people really liked that I'll never use again, which was the "Reach for the Sky" theme.
Yeah.
You'll never use it again?
No, I don't think I'll never use it again. Here, let's talk about that for a second, because when we were making that track, him and I were talking. This was when I first broke away from SCU and I was going on a singles run, and I wanted a song that was going to really hit. And so we were talking back and forth, and he was like, "Do you like the Run DMC song Down with the King?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love that song." He's like, "I'm thinking something like that." And I'm like, "Cool." So when he first sent me the draft, it starts out, it goes, "Reach for the sky," right? And the first thing I thought about was the Briscoes, who didn't work for us at the time. They were still with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was still around. And I was like, man, I think that's dope, but do you think it might remind people too much of the Briscoes? And I think the sentiment was, and I actually asked a couple of people, and the sentiment was kind of like, wow, they don't work here. It's not that big of a deal, and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, oh, okay. Fortunately, now we do have Mark Briscoe over, which I'm incredibly happy about. I love those guys. And so I think now more than ever, it would almost be inappropriate if I ever used it again. So my plan was I think there was actually talk of me using it when I came back last year. And I said, no, I don't want to use that. And I don't think I'll ever use it again.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It's weird to think about that navigating that situation. I wasn't as familiar with the Briscoes, but again, I remember, I think the first time I heard their theme was after I had already heard your entrance theme. And I was like, oh, it's interesting because, his name is Sky. I
think a lot of people were like that, obviously. But
no, I know I'm more aware of the history, and I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's tough, how you navigate that.
It's theirs.
I totally understand when... Yeah, that's interesting. It's so much thought goes into that. You don't think necessarily about the politics of entrance theme songs.
And this wasn't even a politics thing. It's not even like...
even your internal politics, right?
I am always internally thinking of trying to be different from other people, and just try, even if like, example, if everyone's going left and that's the fastest way to get to your destination, I might try to go right and try to figure out a faster way than the normal going right, just to switch things up a little bit, because things can get very repetitive in wrestling. You know, I've gone to shows, I've watched shows where every single match was like a mirror of the previous match. And I think especially in this era, it's almost at a point where you can't even consider it a good match if there's not 25 false finishes and there's not this and that and da-da-da-da. And like, there's like a certain format that you have to have or it won't be considered a good match. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I want things to be different. I want some matches to be 5 minutes. And we've talked about that before. You can have a really, really good 5-minute match. I always tell people, go watch 1, 2, 3 Kid, Owen Hart from the second King of the Ring, the one that Owen won. Incredible. One of my favorite matches ever. And it was probably 5-ish minutes. You know, and then some matches can go 25, and some matches you don't need a bunch of false finishes. Maybe one guy just blows his comeback and wins, and it's still a great match. And then in the other cases, there will be several false finishes. I wish things in wrestling were just less like cookie cutter, but right now that's just the era we're in.
It feels like probably some of that has to do with television wrestling, especially.
Mhm.
You know, when you're building a show that has to be at a certain time and there's going to be commercial breaks and different things, like you want to know what you're getting. And the last thing you want to hear is, oh, by the way, we're going to go out and do a 3.5 minute banger. You know, like what am I supposed to do with that? Maybe that might not fit into it.
I think you could do it though.
You could. It just requires a little bit. Now you have to accommodate that, and other things have to shift. I mean, I think this way about basically every single art form and medium. I know people will get really stuck on movies feeling a certain formatted way, like, oh, you don't have to do the 3-act thing, you know? You don't have to have, there's this famous book called Save the Cat, which is like a screenwriting book. But it's like the elementary entry-level screenwriting book about how to write a movie. If you read this book, you're like, oh my gosh, every single movie that came out from like 1984 to 2006 is this type of movie where all the beats happen at the exact same point. And it gets a lot of flack for being so cookie cutter and so generic. But I do think if you learn it and you understand why those so many movies are set up and work that way, then you can do whatever you want to.
Right.
So I would say you have the experience. You're far beyond the 3-act structure of a pro wrestling match. You can visualize all kinds of wrestling. You're in the Picasso stage. I always say Picasso learned to draw fruit on a table. Yeah. You know, like the most he learned, and there's early Picasso work of him in art school doing the generic little fruit on a table or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you see what he did, 20, 30, 40 years later, and it's chaos.
Yeah.
But it's a controlled chaos because he understood the intent. He didn't just jump ahead and say, screw the rules. He learned the rules so he could break them. And I feel like that maybe is where you're at, because for me, I really love the idea of when I'm building my wrestling matches, slotting these little things in, because I'm not there yet, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, that perspective.
Well, I think, and this is something, Eric, I'd love to get your perspective on as well, is breaking away from the norm is something that I think as a whole we need to do. Not every single match needs, I remember back in the day, pivoting just for a second, when television wrestling was a bunch of short matches. And I remember there was like this clamoring of like, man, I want people to have a longer match as a fan. I want to see longer, good competitive matches on TV. And we've gone the extreme opposite to where now every match on TV, or almost every match, is a long competitive match. It's a 2-segment, 3-segment match. And I think we need to play the middle a little bit, because think about it in terms of like this, like, when I was coming up and you do a couple things, like let's say you hit a couple good moves in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of a match, a veteran would be like, the hell are you doing? Do you want to win? Yeah, I do. We'll cover him. And the reality is, if every match is 15 minutes long, why would anyone buy me covering him in the first 5 minutes? You know the match isn't going to end. You know we still have to go through the rest of the whole, I got to try to pin him 5 times toward the end of the match and have him kick out every time before I actually get the win. And I just think switching it up a little bit, let's have some matches short, like a UFC fight, like a boxing fight. Mike Tyson wipes a guy out in 90 seconds. And then you have some matches that are 30 minutes. And fans may hate it at first, but over time, they will adjust, they will catch up, and they will appreciate it. Eric, what's your thoughts on that?
So I think you guys are really on the money with likening this to movies. This is what James is talking about. I think is so. It's like it's sort of endemic of like a larger situation, like the way this stuff is made. When movies in like the 70s, and you can liken it to wrestling, the rules were less. People were trying stuff because there wasn't a book about the 11 steps to write a movie. And in wrestling, yeah, there was sort of a structure, but guys could play outside of it because the structure wasn't like the big thing. Then people start learning from those guys, and they start sort of distilling it into, here are the 7 steps of a match. And then when you're in wrestling school, you really get narrowed into those 7 steps of a match. That's great. You learned all that stuff. And then you have to unlearn it. and it's the same with movies. You have your 11 steps, and then this is what all the movies are and everything. The problem now, and I think this ended in the 90s, and then probably in 2012-ish for wrestling, is that everyone learned this stuff, and then they went, well, that's the formula to this thing. And it's like, right, but what's outside the formula? What else can you do? Where can you break the mold to do something different? And I agree with you. Like, the mold is so set that when you're watching a match, why? Oh, he tried to roll him up in the first 30 seconds. Well, that wasn't going to be the end of the match. So, unless those things happen and you allow for like those mold breaks, I just don't know why you're watching when somebody hits a blue thunder bomb and that's not their finisher, because that's not the end of the match. And you need to have guys who are willing to take chances. The problem is you have a lot of guys that learn, and then a lot of people who produce, and then they have to make sure they're checking their boxes for the people that are on like the next level. And so you're just sort of at like this bottom level, and they're telling you, do all this, make sure you don't do a German because they're doing that later. And you're like, well, that was that was going to be the spot, but we'll figure it out. There's a lot of hands involved from people that know, and the creativity is, I don't want to say at an all-time low because it's not at an all-time low, but I think the creativity isn't being pushed the way that it was in 2007 when people were just like, I'm about to go insane doing this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's really like lacking in wrestling right now.
I think, to your point about creativity, the creativity is, I wouldn't say it's at an all-time high, but it's very, very high as far as execution and maneuvers, right?
Within,
The stuff people can
within
do
a framework.
Yeah, with the stuff people are doing.
The creativity within a very narrow lane is really, really, really incredible.
But
that
structure
lane
creativity, to your point. Structure creativity is possibly, I wouldn't say all-time low either, but it's pretty low.
I'm curious if we'll see that change soon. And
No.
again, I don't think TV is never what leads the way, right? TV isn't what leads the way. I would say the reason something, because if you think about WWE in the 90s or whatever, and you turn on Saturday show, it's like 4 jobbers, losing to big guys. There's the guy doesn't even get an entrance theme song. Like, he's already in the ring as the Undertaker walks down. And they go, and Barry Bobo, and he just does the hand raise, and you're like, he's done.
We call it preloaded.
Okay, so
when you're already in the ring,
so
preloaded.
But that's how it was for a really long time. And then when there was a match, you're like, well, this isn't a pay-per-view, so I know that there's going to be interference. I still think that persists a little bit, but now, like you said, we get matches, we get shows that at least pretend like something's going to happen that's intense. I will say, as someone who's still so early in the learning phase, it's like magic. And I think magic only gets better when people learn how to do the simple tricks. When you don't and wrestling for a long time has been withheld. It's especially in maintain kayfabe, protect the business. That stuff has only started like really fading away.
Right.
And in the mainstream, like this podcast, us talking so openly about it probably didn't exist 5-6 years ago. Like, you might have some wrestlers who have podcasts who interview other wrestlers and they're out of character, but I don't know how many of them really sit down, like Bret Hart sitting down and being like, here's how I built up that match with Stone Cold, and here's my notes and stuff like that. That's something that's like relatively new. And I would say with that growth and the exposure of that business, you get more people that are drawn in because they go like, oh, I understand what it is. And now, like a moth to the flame, I want to go to it. So you create the rules for this new influx of people to go, let's make sure you understand how this works.
Yeah.
And I bet if we look, we'll see more people, because it's more exposed, more people are going to come in. And it's not going to be everybody, because they are teaching a format. They're teaching the 3 phases of wrestling. That's how I'm learning it, as here's where these things tend to go. Here's where these things tend to go, and here's where these things tend to go. And that's how you build a wrestling match. But it's going to be the individuals.
Right.
It's going to be the individuals. I mean, like yourself, but even people that are like just learning now, in like 10 years, they're going to be like, I'm tired of this, and I want to try something else. And it's not going to be a poisonrana. You know, it's not going to be in that small thing. It's going to be what if we just did something like crazy? And I don't think it's probably going to happen on TV.
It may not.
But
and what happens as well is things get watered down. When you are constantly having these similar matches where it's just knockdown, drag out, knockdown, false, it just becomes the norm, right? So you see those on television every week on multiple different companies and shows, to where it's just like there may have been a match last week that 5-10 years ago would be a surefire match of the year, at least candidate. But it's just the norm now. So who cares?
Yeah.
Like, we've already forgotten about it, you know? And I think that's unfortunate. And it's not that you make your product worse by, and this is talking everywhere, including the independents. It's not that you make your product worse by you want to have like not as good of matches as you could possibly have. But I think there is a certain art to building to that, to where, yeah, you know, you have a guy, take my comeback last year. I could have gone in there with Max Caster and had a banger, and, you know, people would have been great with it. Like, if him and I went out for 15 minutes, we had a great match, and, you know, it would be like, oh, cool. It wasn't needed. It was a lot more special to just watch me walk in there and wipe him out. And I thought that was perfect. And there just needs to be more. We need to go back to a little bit more of that, and then mix that in with the incredible matches we're having right now. And I just think that'll be so much better, because then also you water down your pay-per-views as well. When you're having incredible matches on TV every single week, what separates that from the pay-per-view? Now it's just like, okay, it's like it's a longer version of Raw or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever you're watching. That's just my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be people that completely disagree. But you know.
I mean, I completely get it. I will say, on the viewership side, I do feel like I'm feasting though. There's a part of me that goes like, man, I remember watching and thinking like, I have to sit through 4 weeks of really nothing.
Yeah.
For the payoff.
We don't want to go back to squash match,
right?
squash match.
Or it just like nothing moved forward. No one moved. There was no change in ranking in place or whatever until everything was pushed to the pay-per-view, and then everything would happen there, and then it would just reset again and you'd start over. So I am really glad that, you know, when I'm watching wrestling these days, I do feel like, as an intellectual, I am feasting, because I'm getting on a Wednesday night this match. I'm like, what? Like, what is this doing here? And that is awesome. But I totally understand what you're saying too.
I just want a more mix. I don't want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
I just want more variety. I just don't want every match or every other match to be that. And again, I hope people don't take this as me knocking wrestling.
No.
Because I guarantee you nobody out there loves wrestling more than I do. But I just want to see, I love wrestling so much that I want to see more creativity. I want to see more variety. I want to feel like when I was watching it, when I was strictly a fan, how it felt like this. And it was just like, oh, you know, this was a short little fun match, or this was a short little fun segment. And then you go and you have this great match, and it's like, oh man, like I just think wrestling to me is a roller coaster where there's tons of ups and downs and twists and turns and loops and blah, 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 blah. And it feels a little less like that. It feels a lot more like woo, 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 just up and down, instead of adding in those twists and turns and switching things up a little bit. But you know, that's people are watching, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really complain too much about, you know, I think I just saw something the other day. If I'm gonna this isn't really scratching my own back because I'm not even on that show. Dynamite is doing very well right now. I think the ratings are high. Again, not complimenting myself because I ain't on that show, so I ain't got nothing to do with it. But I'm happy for the company as a whole.
I want to say that this is gonna. I don't want this to sound pretentious.
Yeah, it already does.
But because I mean it in the most genuine way. But artists, which I consider wrestling 100% an art form.
Yeah.
But this applies to almost all art. Artists, it's their job to make something that people want to consume, right? Like they make art that people want to consume. But I think also the greatest artists make art that people want to consume that kind of breadcrumbs them to being better at understanding art and appreciating art.
Love that.
And that's kind of what I'm feeling with this, right? Like there's nothing, it's not about making it harder for people or making it more difficult, but it's like, how can we take this art form and keep giving them the satisfaction of getting what they want, but breadcrumb them into something that's even more evolved, or not even evolved, but just like different. So that way it doesn't stagnate, you know? And I think that's kind of what
that's a
maybe
great
is
way
at
of
the
putting
heart
it.
of this, you
Yeah,
know?
I like that.
So
Yeah, we've talked about it. We should spend an episode on this a little bit more. But like the perception of wrestling sort of like as a medium for telling these stories and stuff, because I think that there's a lot that, you know, you watch like these longer matches and stuff, and that's a story of like, these guys are competing to be the best, and it's 18 minutes and all this stuff. You could tell a story of 0 pinfalls until the one pinfall that you do, and that is the finish of the match. Like there are a million different ways to tell stories in the ring, and I don't think anyone's going to knock you, Sky, for like, oh, this wrestling isn't the way it should be. I think that there are just so many stories that you're able to tell in the ring. I watch a lot of wrestling. I call a lot of shows. I go to a lot of wrestling. And I love when that variety is in there, because that's the stuff I remember. I don't remember the 3rd flipping pile driver that's in the 5th match of an 11-match card. I don't remember that. But I remember the character that had the shorter match, that had standout moments as the character, that just versus all of the other noise that you get in something like that. And you know, I think that there's a lot of structure changes that can happen. There's a lot of hands in it. Sometimes there need to be more hands of like, don't do all these moves. Somebody else is doing all these moves and they're crucial. That's fine. But just like everything else at rubber bands, you used to have to be 6'5", 260 to be on TV. And then times change. And the wrestling changed with it. And now I think that there's a want for guys who are 6'5", 260 to be back, because that's the variety now. They used to be the norm, and now it's different, and everything's sort of upside down, and there just has to find a middle to get more and more people. I think that's it.
I think that's super interesting how the wrestling business has shrunk so much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I talk about that a lot, because when I got into the wrestling business, I was 5'10", 160 pounds, and had absolutely no chance of being on television in America. And I learned that very early. I remember when I first started trying to figure out how to get WWE extra work, and then it was an open thing. It was like, well, if you're not 6'4", 250, we don't even want to look at you. And so I was like, well, I am not that. So I guess Japan, Mexico is my goal. Like that was the thing. And the business has shrunk, and they still have some big guys, clearly. But, you know, when I first started, I was a teeny tiny little guy, and I feel like now I'm kind of the average size. Yeah, I don't really usually walk into locker rooms and feel small anymore. You know, I feel kind of like the average. So that's kind of cool.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that those 6'5", 250-pound frames can't take nearly as much as a, you know, as a 5'11", you know, like something that your body can handle structurally a little bit better.
Yeah.
One guy comes out and he goes, well, my knee exploded, or, you know, or whatever, or something. Like they probably just, it sounds terrible, but they might not last as long.
Yeah,
you know?
It is a lot more wear and tear on your body to carry that, even if you have the frame to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more wear and tear on your body. I understood very early in my career, I'm never going to be a 220, 230-pound guy. I just don't have the frame for it. I was always built more like a fighter. I was very lean, very thin. That's why I started doing a fighter type character in different points of my career, not only because I actually was fighting and training outside of wrestling, but that's just the body type I had, you know? So I was like, well, why would I try to be like The Rock? I'm never going to be, no one's ever going to look at me and think that I'm that type of, that size of a guy. So you kind of use what you have. And I think if you look at the guys that are around my size, they usually are able to have a pretty long career, and the bumps that we've taken over the years are pretty significant, you know, but we're able to bounce back. And so I think to your point, not having a lot of that extra weight, and also to maintain that extra weight, the type of iron you have to sling is also tough on your body.
Not just iron.
Yeah, we don't need to go there. I know where you're, I know where you're
not
going
just
with
iron.
it. I want to
There's
avoid
other
that.
things. There's other things.
That chicken and rice, baby.
Yeah, most human beings don't just pop out at 6'5", 250 pounds lean.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
tough when you're eating that much chicken and rice.
so much chicken and rice.
It
so
tends
much
to
chicken and
wear
rice.
down your body.
Well, but don't forget broccoli,
broccoli as
because
well.
you got to get your greens as well.
Get your greens as well.
So there's the broccoli as
Chicken
well.
and rice.
I mean, just imagine if, because everything now is biting on what ROH was doing in like the 2000s. Like that's what every match structure is now, is like a very like ROH match structure. But imagine if the guys didn't shrink. Imagine if,
Good Lord.
you know what, like there's just
Physics,
no shot.
at a certain
So-
point, physics, you know, is a limiting factor.
Exactly. So like that's why wrestling changed, because not everyone had to do, hey, well, just get in there like Stone Cold and get in, you know, walk and brawl or whatever. You had to have a Roderick Strong, Jerry Lynn style match that was just how fast can you run and how hard can you throw something, because that's what you had to do. You're smaller. It
Can
makes
you
sense.
imagine if Brock Lesnar hit that shooter at WrestleMania clean?
Yeah,
and
I know.
and kept doing it. And then next thing you know, wrestling becomes a guys the size of Brock Lesnar wrestling like guys the size of Brian Danielson.
That's exactly what I was thinking about was Brock Lesnar.
Good Lord.
Like
Wrestling would be insane.
That was again, physics intervened,
Yeah.
and they said, no, this don't happen.
I always thought, we don't need to go into that. I always just thought he was too far away. I think he'd have hit it perfectly
Way too
clean.
far away.
If he was just
Yes.
like a foot in, he'd
They
have been
were
fine.
like so deep into that match. He's exhausted. He's exhausted, and he's trying to go like so far on that shooting star.
Also, absolutely did not need to do that.
No,
That match is a fantastic match if he just F5s him and they go home.
But it's a little bit better if you hit that shooting star.
It would have been insane, especially at that time.
I think it's obvious that there's like so much to discuss here about the evolution of pro wrestling, and we only have so much time. And Eric, I think you had prepared a game that you want us to play.
Why, indeed, I did, James.
Okay, but we're definitely going to keep I want to keep talking about this because I think this is like a huge well, and I think it's really interesting to talk about like where the sport can go and all that. It's just it's fascinating. We'll be here all day, and we just can't be.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I love this. I love digging deep on what wrestling could be and what we see, because it's all at different levels and everything, so it's exciting. But when we started this show, we didn't know anything about each other. Scorpio Sky made sure of that. So we're gonna learn about each other a little bit more in a game we call This or That. I'm gonna throw some of these things at you guys. You let me know what you pick.
All right.
Like, explain it a little bit. Let's talk about it. But here, let's start it out.
And we have no idea what he's throwing at us. Just so
No,
you guys know.
no.
Could be
This is-
anything.
It might be wrestling related. It might
Yeah.
not.
This is we have not been prepped.
Yep. Okay. Beer or liquor?
Liquor.
Yeah, liquor.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are not beer guys, huh?
Beer makes me feel heavy. I mean, I do like beer, especially like whenever I get sushi. I always love an acai, or like a good craft beer. Sometimes Yard House has some good beer. You know, everyone knows I love the Yard, but I would much. Did you just bark?
Yeah, because it's out of your yard.
my go-to would be like an old fashioned or some tequila, something like that.
Yeah, I don't really drink either of them, but if the goal,
Oh, look who's healthy.
no, it's not even. But I'm like, if the goal is to get drunk, liquor's gonna work better than beer,
Pansy.
right?
If the goal is to get like you have a drink and you're like, oh yes, my.
I just
goal
don't.
is
I
to
just
get
never
in."
like, oh, long day. I just want to drink a beer. Oh man, it's a hot day. I
The way
just
you
want to.
started Long day.
Yeah, drink a beer.
Yeah. Ruining everything is
Yeah.
very exhausting.
Relax with the cold one.
Yeah.
I just don't ever feel that way.
Unbelievable. Okay, sorry.
So
Brandon Cutler can't get drunk.
what does that mean?
He
What does
can't
that
get drunk.
mean?
What's that?
Like
how'd that work?
this is a side story to make it really brief. He's never drank throughout his whole life, and one time, I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. A few times he was out with us, and he's like, "I kind of want to try," and I was like, "All right, let's get you a vodka cranberry. We'll ease you in light, right?" And he drank it, and nothing. All right, let's try a double. Nothing. Okay, let's do another. Nothing. He can't get drunk. He wasn't even feeling buzzed.
What?
Maybe
Yeah.
he just he needs to. Did you try boofing it?
Boofing it. What is
Yeah.
that?
Don't
Some
worry about it.
Cosby shit?
Anyway, next one. Next one.
What does that mean? Boofing it. I've never heard that term before.
Stop saying it. Coke, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke, I guess. No preference, but Coke. I'll say Coke.
Coke Zero.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't one of the. That's not how this or that works.
Coke. I want my Coke boofed.
No, you don't.
What does that mean?
You don't. I don't think you do. Eric's walking away. Eric got up. He walked away.
You don't.
Somebody
I'm
get
so
in the comment
excited.
section to
I'm
tell
so
me what
excited.
boof means.
Nope, don't.
I'm so excited to tell you when we get off mic.
Uh-oh.
Oh man!
All right. So yeah, let's go
Oh.
Coke.
All right, couple more. Tacos or burritos?
Burritos.
Tacos.
Ooh,
We split.
Interesting.
Yeah, give me some
Interesting.
tacos.
Okay.
I love tacos so much.
Silver jewelry or gold jewelry?
Silver.
Silver.
I don't have any
Yeah.
jewelry except for my wedding ring, so I don't really care.
And what-
I'm gonna get you a
and what is
fat
your wedding
chain
ring?
next Christmas. This Christmas, I guess.
Adamantium. I don't know.
Adamant, like it's a Wolverine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you a blinged out chain for this coming Christmas.
Great.
That's gonna be your gift.
Cool.
Blinged out chain.
Cool. I can almost guarantee you I will never wear it.
Oh, come on. You got to wear it a little
At
bit.
least once on the show.
Once on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Wings or ribs?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we're getting into it.
I'm probably gonna go follow my heart on this one. Probably gonna go wings. I think I'd probably way more likely to order wings, but the ceiling on ribs being good is way higher.
Yeah. Here's how I'm gonna break it down. If the choice is I have to eat this every day for a week, I'm going wings. So I guess I choose wings.
Okay. All right.
So are you, so like you don't so like this or that is like a confusing game to you, or what is this?
Didn't I choose one?
It's this asterisk or that asterisk, and the asterisk can be anything.
What was wrong with my answer?
Well, you added a whole nother clarifier
No.
of like.
So my whole thing was like, okay.
You went Coke Zero.
Because here's the thing. Like, I think like you said, the ceiling on ribs is higher.
Yeah.
Right? But I can eat wings more often than I can eat ribs. So
Okay.
that's how I came to
all
my
right,
decision of I'm choosing wings.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm still going
I
Coke
think it's
Zero
more.
over
I think it
Coke.
was more the way you phrased it. You were like, if someone kidnaps me and takes me to a facility and they only feed me wings, then I'll go wings, as opposed to
Unbelievable.
just going like, I'm gonna have to say wings because I think.
Oh man. One more because we do have to get out of here. We're actually recording a 2-shot this week, so I'm excited for our next one. Well, we'll see. All right, last one. Long hair or short hair?
It could mean anything. Could mean any number of things. So I'm gonna go.
Oh gosh.
Short hair.
Short hair?
I feel like I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
I don't know what
either.
it means, but I feel like more likely I'm gonna pick.
Boof hair.
Don't.
I don't know
No.
what that means.
No.
I'm going short hair as well.
Yeah, I'll go short hair. I feel like I'm more likely to be like whatever the fill in the blank is for short hair. I'm more likely to be like yes for short hair than long hair.
Okay.
Because what if it's like on your toes. You know, like it could be anything, right?
Almost any situation you probably
Any
prefer
situation.
short.
Yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
found something in your pasta. Is it long
Ugh.
hair or short
Oh,
hair?
God.
Short hair.
so disgusting.
Well, I think we learned a lot about each other, whether we
did.
liked it or not.
Yeah.
That was a quick game of this or that. Thank you guys so much for playing.
No, thank you, Eric. Thank you for setting up. And thank you to everyone for watching and listening to this podcast week after week. We love your feedback. I know we didn't do a draft this week. We're not going to do them every single week because I think it'll get a little bit boring and we want to make sure the topics are cool.
Yeah.
And it was great doing it with a guest last week.
Heck
that was
yeah.
so much fun. So this is kind of more of a, we're kind of talking about different topics this week. And so, but we still want your feedback. So let us know down in the comments what you think, how you feel. Do you think that the art of pro wrestling should be evolving, and what does that mean to you? We'd honestly love to hear your feedback. And I think, maybe at some point we could pull some of these comments and then read them out and be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. We love having that kind of community feedback from you guys. And the best way to leave that feedback is to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Creating Character Pod. That's the place to let us know what you think and how you feel. If you want to get more from me, hear what I'm up to, search James Willems on Instagram. That's where I'm going to be. Sky?
And get in the comment section, because just because we aren't going to do a draft every week doesn't mean we're not going to do it maybe every other week.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what draft you want to see next. I will throw some options out there. Greatest tag teams of all time, greatest stables of all time, greatest feuds or matches of all time, greatest Ja Rule songs of all time.
Wow.
Tell us which draft you want to see
I have to pick
next.
4?
And only 4? Tell us which one you want to see next. And if you want to get more of me, you can do it on all social media platforms. Just search Scorpio Sky. I'll be the one that pops up most likely. And if I reach out to you and ask for money or anything like that, that ain't me. Look
it
for the
might be.
verified badge.
It might be.
Oh,
Eric?
smart. You can find me at Eric Bedora on everything. If I do reach out for money, that is me. I am asking you for your money, so give it to me. Thank you very much. Excited to get off cut this episode,
Hey!
so that way
Sorry.
we can let Scorpio Sky know what he's been saying for like the last 5 minutes. It's pretty exciting.
I know.
So,
I also want to shout out one last thing. If you're used to listening to this podcast, make sure to check out our YouTube channel this week, because we put up a bonus video with Martin, our guest from last week, where we played the lyrics game. I can't believe, I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
But obviously Eric's singing voice has not improved in any way, shape, or form. But it's a little bonus video that we put up, and I think it's going up on our YouTube channel. So it'll be up by the time this episode is out, but we want to make sure that if you missed it because you only listened to the podcast or whatever, you knew it was there. So check that out.
All right, send us out.
yeah,
All
now
right,
do the intro.
Okay, time for the end of the show. Play the Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
When you hear that sound, you know the show's come to an end. Thank you so much for watching, listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.